Okay, so the way I see it, a guy who claims to be the best blackjack player in the world deserves to be challenged. But I've had a little bit of gentle feedback suggesting that perhaps I'm unkind to poor John Sirasani. But you know what? What he's doing is just it's just so weird. I mean, he's got tons of money. It would seem. He's got lots of opportunity to make progress in these games, but he is one of the many who's convinced me, after watching a lot of this, way too many of these professional losers, hour after hour, day after day, for damn near 2 years now. I watch these guys and I think, you people do not want to win. And it's because you can't, because you would lose your privileges, you'd lose your freebies, you'd lose your special deals, your extras, if you were to show people how to kick ass at these tilted table games. And I promise you, I'm not saying to anybody that I'm the world's greatest. What I am saying is that if you play like this guy does, and Vegas Matt and all the others, Bobby Rivas and so on, and Crazy Cody Burn Money and Dana White and all the rest of it, you're going to lose a lot of money. And the message again and again and again is, if you can't put up a fight, don't step into the ring. Don't go to war without the right weaponry, without the right firepower, the right possibility of actually beating negative expectation. That really is all I'm saying. But by golly, it's a hard message to get across, because most people want to see stupidity like this, and then they tell themselves that it's entertainment. And I mean, even Crazy Cody, he puts up this thing at the beginning of every one of his awful many sessions, most of which he loses. He puts up these things, this is for entertainment purposes only. Who the hell is entertained watching nonsense like that? But I guess there must be a lot of them. I'm just obviously not clued in. I'm not not in the loop. Anyway, here's a Excel analysis of John's latest session coming up, and you know what? This guy could easily make steady money at these games, but he can't, because they don't want him to, and he knows which side his bread his bread is buttered. I don't know what a buttered bed would be like. Sticky, I guess. Not nice. Nah. All right, next time. So here we are again with another Sirasani session. Number 4, Struggle at Circa, as you can see from the little illustration over there, the little screen grab. I've spent more time on this than I want to admit to be honest. But I think that, I have to try to be grateful to King John, because he really does illustrate vividly, if somewhat loquaciously, verbally, long-windedly, all of the things that I know to be bad about the way that most people gamble. And it's a mystery to me on 2 levels. First of all, that somebody who plays blackjack as often as he does, and does it under the spotlight with the camera rolling and all the rest of it, simply does not learn from his mistakes. I mean, obviously, he doesn't watch his own videos. He doesn't watch the instant replay. He doesn't get anything out of these things. He just starts over each time as if it's afresh. And he's one of the guys who sort of, like, along the way, convinced me that these people are trying to lose, because it makes no sense otherwise. I mean, how could somebody who spends this much time playing blackjack for large sums of money, I mean, he's not as big a high roller as, say, somebody nuts like Crazy Cody Burn Money, but he's putting a fair amount of money out there, and every so often goes completely bonkers and throws down 5,000 for absolutely no reason, and in fact managed to do quite well out of his silly $5,000 bets. That was here, I think. He went all the way down here to down 18,250, and then in short order got nearly 12,000 back from his $5,000 bets, which isn't that great really, but hey, it's better than losing. But again, if you look at John's performance and you look at the flat bet actual value chart here, you can see that once again he's completely dependent on what happens here. Because he's betting flat, because he's betting randomly, he's doomed pretty much to follow this. I mean, yes, here he went completely nuts. I mean, what is this right here? That's 0.143. So that's got to be around here somewhere. Right, okay. So then he went boom in the toilet following this thing here. And then he happened to ride this very successfully. So from here up to here, which is there, and then in the toilet again. And the other thing that's extraordinary, of course, about John is not only is he a regular blackjack punter, but he also claims to be the world's best. And yet he bets like a prat, like a complete buffoon. And it's very hard to get, well, I'm finding it hard to get my head around it anyway. I just do not get it. And here, this is an example of what I was saying about not learning from his own mistakes. This time he lost 8 more extra bets, silly bets, as I like to call them, than he won. They cost him $7,000. His first base bets won him 3,000, which was a lousy 1% because his action was high, 290,000. But this lot kicked his ass. So he ended up, 5,504 down in the end. I think that's wrong. I'm not sure about that. Let me have a look at that. I need to check that. That doesn't look quite right. I leave these fixes in with these videos because I want you to see that I do spot my fuck ups and fix them. And so he lost about 1,500 less than than that number suggested. So his final loss was 4,000. And that, if we go back up here, that should take us to, he lost 4,000. So it's 1.3%. So he lost slightly less than the AV would suggest. The indicated result is a loss of minus 6,140, and he lost 4,000. So, what I was trying to say, and I apologize for the mistake, but I leave these things in there because I think it's important to show that I'm not faking anything. I wish I was smarter. I wish I was cleverer, but I does me best, and I always find my mistakes and I always fix them. They usually scream at me, and that one certainly did. I'm thinking, wait a minute, you add those two numbers together, and you do not get 5,000 and something or other. But anyway, the fact that this guy claims to be the best there is, and in this last video he says that it's all an act, everything's an act. When he gets angry, it's an act. When he slams the table, it's an act. When he curses at his buddies, it's an act. I think he's a liar, he said politely, but because there's just no way that he's that good an actor. He's really snitty and nasty sometimes with his friends and co-conspirators, and I just don't know. Maybe he's a brilliant actor. He says it's his Italian temperament, so he can't have it both ways, can he? One minute he's saying it's all an act, and then the next he's saying it's because of his Italian temperament. But either way, he really does step over the mark every so often. And somebody who bangs the table the way that he does, I mean, if he was at a public table rather than a reserved table, I think he'd be turfed out on his ear roll because that's just not on. But, whatever. So this is the story for John. As I was explaining. So pretty much of a bloody mess. Not a huge loss, but he didn't need to lose at all. We go up to pattern betting, keeping in mind that pattern betting only plays the first base bets. And same picture here with the actual value. Actual value being, just in case you've forgotten or you've never heard of it before, if you take the number of wins, deduct the number of losses, and then multiply the product, which is usually a negative, with the total number of bets, then you'll get the AV, the actual value. And that's it right here for left-hand bets for just the first base bets. It's 2%. Not terrible, not hard. Pattern betting shows the way again, as I say right there. It won 32, nearly 33,000 on action that was considerably less than John's. What was it? What did he do in the end? 375 was it? It was a lot. 307,000. Okay, so pattern betting's action was 172,000, and pattern betting won 19% of its total action. That's a bloody good hold. Average win 887, average loss 444. So average win value over average loss value. And one of the things that I used to talk about, and then I don't know, for whatever reason, stopped saying it. I suppose because cliches even get annoying for me after a while. But what I was used to try and get across to people was, you got to make hay while the sun shines. What you have to do is you have to bet in such a way that you can win back your prior losses in fewer bets than it took you to get into trouble in the first place. So the two ways that you do that are obviously betting more when you win, or winning more when you win than you lose when you lose, which compensates to a great degree, well, a very large degree actually, a huge degree, to beating a situation where you lose more bets than you win. But also, you've got to be smart enough to know, as soon as the potential is there, you need to have the best possible bet out on the table that you can muster. So that's what making hay while the sun shines is all about. And John, in this in this session, I mean, he had so many super winning streaks, and he just pissed them up the wall. I mean, you don't see pattern betting putting enormous amounts of money out, simply because pattern betting is all about the win target. Once you get your win, you drop back to the min. You win it, then you min it. And that's a critical rule. It's not the most important, but it's one of the most important. It's all about sort of smart, sensible, logical rules all pulling together to help you through the tough times. But, I mean, what he had this run here, that run up there, a huge run down here. I mean, pattern betting isn't making a huge amount of money out of him simply because it doesn't need to. You've got to know, there's the important things about these games is you need to know when you've won enough, okay? So when you make your target, when you win what you need to win, you drop back to the minimum. And the other thing you have to know is, you need to protect yourself when you start to get into serious trouble. So you need to know about gags, for instance. The gag rule for me is that if I get 5 bets behind and the next bet is in 4 figures, I'm going to run away. That's just how it's going to be. And I don't know where the shuffles are. I mean, I could mark the shuffles, but I can't do that when I'm doing tracking like this. So I just have to suck it up. But normally I'd be saying, oh, bugger that for a game of candles. I don't like the look of that, and I'd be out of there. But this is the algorithm's work, and here, sometimes there were some pretty large bets in there, much bigger than any of John's. But that's completely beside the point. What you're looking at in the end is you're looking at how much of a percentage of the action is the win. If you can make 10% of your action, that's a good hold, as the casinos call it. 10% is good. They're greedy bastards, so they'd much rather have 25%, but 10% is acceptable for them. Their hold for blackjack in Nevada is about 16%, as it happens, overall. But here we have a hold of 19%, and I'm happy with that. I think that was good. But yeah, The thing with John is he doesn't make hay while the sun shines. He doesn't do anything sensible. He doesn't do anything logical. He bets like he's never played blackjack in his life. He's got lots of money behind him, but he squanders it. He completely bloody wastes it, and he is totally dependent on this ear. Now, if you look at this and you look at that, yes, you will see some similarities in that. Yeah, we started to go down. What point is this? That's 0.69. So 0.69 is going to be around here somewhere, I guess. Look at that. Okay, so we got to that, and then we came shooting out, and this is just this bit here, which took us out, right? And then we go uppity, 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 and then we get to here, and this presumably, that's 159. What's this going to be? About the same. Whoa, look at that, 159. I'm not, I haven't rehearsed this, I promise you. It's just common sense says it's bound to be the same thing, right? And then, ba-boom, we're out of it, and off we go. Off to the races and off to profit. That's the most important thing. Profit, profit, profit. That's why the channel is called Practice Makes Profit. And I just think that somebody like John, he's just proof to me that these guys mean to lose. They intend to lose because the casinos would be pissed off with them if they started teaching people how to win on a regular basis. So, draw your own conclusions. And as far as my work is concerned, take it or leave it, believe it or not, entirely up to you. But I'm telling you, you must use progressive betting to beat these games, blackjack and baccarat in particular. You must have a strategy that you believe in, that you can stick with. And above all, you must have a shitload of money behind you. Oh, and by the way, in the UK, they call that a shed load. When I came back to this country after nearly 40 years in America in 2014, I'm thinking, what the hell is a shed load? I mean, a shitload makes a little bit more sense because you think in terms of a giant dump, but a shed load? I guess it works. I mean, a shed load of money would be pretty nice, wouldn't it? A shed load of money is just what we need. That's fair enough. Okay, I'll go with that. You need a shed load of money to beat these games. You need a strategy. You need confidence. You need to avoid alcohol. You need to make sure that you don't bother to play at all if you're feeling tired or stressed, uncomfortable for any reason. Don't play if the guy next to you keeps farting. Don't play if the dealer has bad breath. Don't play if the music is too loud. Just consider this a sort of a situation where what you have to have is optimal conditions, and then you go to bat. You get into the ring with your gloves on, and you try and achieve a knockout. But here was a situation where this was not a tough set of outcomes, and it defeated John not as badly as he deserved, because he got very lucky with his 5,000. Let's have a look at those $5,000 bets just out of interest. He came up to those way down here somewhere. Where the hell are they? Here they are. Okay, so he lost 10,000 there. He came out with 25,000 and lost 15. So he made 10,000 with all those big bets of his. He came out with a profit of 10,000, which made a big difference, obviously, to his final number. But he's just not clever. That's the thing. He's not clever at this game. He's very. I have to say it. He's very pedestrian, simply because he doesn't bet consistently. He's all over the place. And his temper tantrums are not helpful. His imprecations, his heresy, his whatever. Not that would bother me, but he's Italian, for goodness sake. He's not supposed to take the name of God in vain. But anyway, just I make of all of this what you will, obviously. But I'm just telling you, this is the way to go. Do not copy King John, the greatest blackjack player who ever walked the earth.